Okay, let me introduce you to a very special car. It's one of the very rarest modern cars in existence. It is called the Mercedes SLS AMG GT Final Edition. We believe it's one of the most collectible modern Mercedes of all time, certainly of its generation, and we've got 5 reasons to tell you exactly why. Okay, so just before we get into it, I'll give you a little bit of context of where this model sits in the SLS range. For those that don't know, Mercedes first unveiled the original SLS in 2009. They then brought out in 2012 an upgraded version called the SLS AMG GT. It looked much the same as the original one, but there were lots of tweaks to the way it drives. The engine was more powerful, it was upgraded the steering, the gearbox, and it was just a much better car to drive. In 2013, they brought out the Black Series version. Now that is really the ultimate one. It's the most aggressive, it's most extreme, it's stripped out, it's more track focused. But then Mercedes discontinued the model after that. But before they did that, they wanted to make one last hurrah, the final SLS, the swan song, the run out special, and a limited edition, and that is this car, the SLS AMG GT Final Edition. That's what we have, and that's what we're gonna look at. Okay, so the first reason why we feel this is one of the most collectible modern Mercedes is the very fact it is a limited edition, a proper limited edition, because it has a plaque. As you can see down here, this is one of 350, and that is worldwide. And more importantly, this actually includes both coupes and roadsters. So when you actually think about it, there's probably more like 200 or maybe even less final edition coupes. Then you take into consideration we're in a UK market where we like right-hand drive cars, which is a minority compared to the left-hand drive market. So that's bringing the number further down. I mean, we believe there are in fact only 6 UK supplied SLS GT Final Edition coupes. So that is a seriously rare car. We've actually sold 3 of them. We sold this car once before. We've also sold a Designo Mystic white car and an Imola grey car. So these are very far and few between. Super, super rare. Obviously, rarity counts for so much when it comes to collectability, but what sometimes is more important is having that plaque and knowing exactly how many there are. So you know you've got one of the 350 that exist. You're not just guessing. So yes, very much having that limited number is our first reason why. So at number 2 is these famous Goldwing doors. So obviously these doors are across all the SLS coupe variants, but really in general it's what makes the SLS such a unique and sort of collectible offering. You have to look back to the history and the heritage of these Goldwing doors to really get to the bottom of it. In the 1950s, Mercedes built a car called the 300 SL Goldwing. Now that is probably the most iconic Mercedes of all time, and significantly, Mercedes did not make another car with Goldwing doors until the SLS almost 50 years later. And who knows, they might not make another car with Goldwing doors for another 50 years. But look, they give this car a real unmistakable look. It's a really unique factor, and it just makes the car special. What I would say is it wouldn't park too close to the car next door in the car park, because they do come out quite wide. And if you're a little short, you might have some trouble reaching the door, but thankfully I'm not. So number 3 on our list, and to be fair, this is a factor across the whole SLS range, but under this wonderfully long bonnet lies a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 engine, and for me this is one of the greatest engines of the modern era. Obviously this thing is hugely powerful, but it's the way it delivers this power in sort of such a sumptuous way that suits the character of the car so well. The way it starts up, the noise when you start this car up, the lower gears, it rumbles along, and obviously in the mid-range and the higher gears it really roars. This definitely is a major factor. Look, they're not going to make another engine quite like this. You know, the way things are going with new emission laws, most of the supercar industry has adopted turbocharged engines which don't sound anywhere near as good. We know the future is electric, hybrid. So look, the old phrase of they don't make them like this anymore couldn't be more fitting for the SLS. You know, they replaced this car with the AMG GT, which is 4-litre downsized engine. And we just know this engine is going to be one of the all-time greats. It's also just worth mentioning that the final edition shares the engine of the GT car rather than the original, which is an upgraded engine. It's been reworked to give it more power, more response. Combine that with the upgraded steering, suspension, gearbox. The GT is just a much better car to drive. It's sharper, it's more responsive, and given the choice as a collector, you're definitely going to want a car with the GT engine over the original SLS. Okay, so on to number 4, and the thing that really distinguishes the SLS Final Edition from the regular GT is really all down to carbon fibre. As you can see, the standout piece on the car is this massive carbon fibre bonnet. It gives the car such a distinctive look, which for a collectible is very important. Obviously on this colour, it really contrasts nicely. You basically get this big piece with sculpted through the middle, and you get this bonnet vent as well, a bit like the Black Series. But the good thing is this is totally unique to the Final Edition. You can't get a carbon fibre bonnet on any other SLS. You also get this big carbon fibre splitter, which is a lovely piece as well, which comes standard on the Final Edition. You do get carbon mirrors. Those you can option on any of the SLSs. There's lots of carbon inside as well. You get the center console, the seats are made of carbon fibre. You also get the sills in carbon fibre. And then finally onto the rear. So they've borrowed the rear wing from the Black Series. Massive carbon piece, just gives the car a little bit more aggression. Obviously it's not quite as aggressive as the Black Series, but in a way that's what suits this car. It's the more refined, elegant look of the regular SLS, but just with that added carbon fibre to give it that sort of more unique and distinctive feel. Right, so on to our final reason, and for this I just wanted to talk about the overall character of the SLS. I mean, it's got such a timeless design, you know, that long bonnet just gives it this sort of retro feel. You've got the analog dials. I mean, it's got this sort of German muscle car feel to it. Combine that with everything else I've already mentioned, the V8, the Goldwing Doors, the carbon fibre, the rarity. I mean, for me, the SLS Final Edition just stands out above all other modern Mercedes. The other thing that's quite nice about it is it's actually a really usable car. You know, most collectibles these days are sort of hardcore, you know, track focused, stripped out versions. The SLS is just not one of those cars. It's really a grand tourer, you know, it's great for cruising about. I mean, look at these beautiful comfort seats, all the diamond quilted stitching. I mean, it's just a beautiful car and it's comfortable. You combine that with the fact it's got a lovely Bang & Olufsen sound system. Yeah, the infotainment may be a little bit dated compared to modern Mercedes, but it still works very well. Look, not every collector wants a track-focused, stripped-out cabin. The nice thing about the SLS is it finds this sort of perfect sweet spot between, you know, something that's rare and special, still fun and exciting to drive, but it's also comfortable and luxurious. So that's it. Those are our 5 reasons why we feel the SLS Final Edition might just be the most collectible modern Mercedes. This particular example is currently for sale at Romans International. We'll put a link to it up in the link above there and also in the description below. Please do leave your comments if you agree with us, disagree with us. What do you think is the most collectible modern Mercedes? One school of thought is the SLS Black Series, but that car does cost twice as much. Would you rather pay double and get the Black Series or pay half as much and get the Final Edition? But either way, thanks for watching guys, and until next time.